Welcome to the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast, where we learn about some success stories and some not so successful stories. But either way, we learn. Each episode, we talk with successful real estate agents and vendors about things they have done to make them successful and some things they did that you might want to avoid. Join us for each episode of the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast with your host, Preston Sandlin.
All right, listeners. Well, welcome to the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast. I call it that because, Mike Heggie, I learned from you way back. You did this is why I named it this, because I remember you had a thing way back where you had broker events and you told me, I was part of that. I remember you told me, you said, be careful with you can't use realtor because I wanted to be the successful realtor, but you got to be careful with that. They got that thing trademarked. So I made it the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast. But speaking of that, I have two fantastic successful real estate brokers right here, Mr. Mike Heggie and Mr. Scott Pridemore. How y'all doing?
We're doing great. Thank you for allowing us an opportunity to have a conversation with you. We're excited to hear what you have in mind for us, having not had any idea what we're going to talk about, but it's all about being real, right? So
there you go. Yeah. I did one way back where it was very scripted and I gave people the questions ahead of time, but I was like, you know what? No, let's do it like, like we're having a conversation, in a restaurant or something. Cause I don't know if you guys, you go to conferences. And to me, that's always the most valuable, those conversations. But
100% agree.
But for all the listeners out there, and the three people who don't know who you are, give us a quick background on both of you guys and what led you to real estate and what led you to create Compass.
Mike, you want to take that?
Oh, wow. That's a great question, Preston. And certainly, there's a lot there, and we're grateful to be on this podcast. And anyone listening, we're happy to continue the conversation. We'll always put that out there. We come from the vantage point of trying to provide value to the conversation. So not often are we asked like, "Hey, how'd you get into real estate?" and like, "What's your background?" And for me, it started 17 years ago. I was an ER nurse. I was looking for something different, and real estate. I found my passion in. First, identified the purpose. Found a passion in it, and then kept getting momentum. Scott was actually my mentor in the business many years ago, and we've become friends and business partners at this point. And partnership, it just lives on. And by the way, we have 4 kids and a puppy, so things are a little chaotic on a daily basis.
And listeners out there, he won't toot his own horn, but I will. He was a rookie of the year, so I just want to get that in there.
A few years ago, yeah, all the gray hair in the interim.
Yeah. Now, another thing, you're right. Mike he's definitely, the type of guy that doesn't like to be boastful, but really he's got a tremendous amount to be boastful about, but he chooses to be humble, which is obviously very cool. I'm Scott Pridemore. I've been in residential real estate here in Charlotte for 27 years. And really I was more or less fresh out of college and, worked for about a year and a half at a few like restaurants or what have you while I was getting my license. So I didn't have, like Mike, a professional background beyond being that I've been in the real estate for as long as I have. I didn't have any time to kind of do a different career. I just jumped right in with real estate. And that's what I knew I wanted to do. So here I am today. I was with me and Mike. We met at a larger local firm here locally. We were there for a number of years together. As Mike said, we became friends and decided we wanted to continue working with one another. And then I started Pridemore Properties. And then most recently, we partnered Pridemore Properties with Compass. So we are a team within Compass. We're super excited. We've been blown away at what that has meant for our business, for our agents, and really more importantly, our clients, right? So working with many buyer and seller clients, considering moving to Charlotte, are moving to Charlotte, our existing client base here locally. It's we just have so much more to offer, and we're just really excited about it. I know this is not a commercial of like that. But I feel like, you know what, since you want to hear some background as to where we started and where we are, I can't hide the excitement.
No, I'm with you. And I've got 3 questions coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and like let your mind be thinking about it. I want to know about, what Compass, the advantages that Compass has for the buyers and sellers and potentially, agents out there. I mean, if they were looking for a place or something, the advantage or what you guys do different. And then 3rd question, and I don't know which order I'm going to go in, but I'm just giving you a little background so you can think about it. I want to know about your media. You guys are killing it on the media. You're fun to watch. One of my favorite Instagram, like I check out what you guys are doing every day. So I want to know more about that and tips you guys could have for other agents. But I guess in the order of those questions, the first one I would ask is Compass. What makes you guys different? I mean, there's obviously a lot of real estate firms in Charlotte. There's a lot of good ones, just like home inspectors. There's a lot of good home inspectors out there. I won't lie. But what makes you guys different? And what makes you different, I guess, to the buyer and seller and maybe for an agent who's looking for a spot?
Yeah, I hear you. If you don't mind, Mike, I'll kind of touch on that. Right, feel free to chime in. So for us, when we were approached by Compass leadership, we were already somewhat aware of Compass agents in other markets, being in a few different groups, coaching organizations, where we're able to intermingle with agents from other markets. And we found time and time again with our interactions with other Compass agents that these agents were just of a fantastic caliber, and a very professional and elevated awareness of our industry. And I think that more than anything, we had an impression going in of what the Compass agent was and how, very specific attraction of the right agent, meaning, somebody that's, producing, somebody that wants to produce, somebody that's has an open mind for really letting new information in, learning, having a mindset for sharing and helping each other and being a team player. So all that was already in direct alignment with what we had at Pridemore Properties. So that part was easy. And then we got into like the various programs that Compass has that were just blowing us away. And there's no other company out there that offers programs. When I say programs, I'm speaking of a program such as Compass Concierge. And I'll just give you a short version, although, we can go on, but it more or less enables us as agents to front the money for upfit in advance in order for our clients to get retail highest and best value. So our clients don't have to settle for selling their home at a low price as a matter of convenience. Okay. Right. Now we've all heard, we've all had experiences out there in the marketplace where, sellers want convenience, right? They want the ability, if they have the option, to sell direct without having to go to market. But they tend to pay for that, not only in fees and higher commissions through that, but they also pay for it by not being able to get the highest and best value. Mm-hmm. So this enables us as agents to step in, help our clients maximize their equity and without any out-of-pocket expense on their part. And then they just pay us back at closing with no fees and no interest. So, if an agent wants more information about that, we're happy to share. They can call or text us anytime. Another program, Mike, you want to talk about the bridge loan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's several programs that are innovative. What we love about Compass is always evolving and, changing with the marketplace. And let's face it, there's been never more change in the past 12 to 18 months than there has been in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that was part of the reason we made a shift as a partnership with Compass, perfect alignment for the right side of change. And along those lines, another program that's really unique is a bridge loan that allows someone to activate equity in one property, in the property they're in, so they can purchase a property without a contingency.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's like the old bridge loans of the 80s and 90s, but it's truly a bridge loan.
So you don't have to make that offer contingent on selling your house.
That's right. Exactly. So it makes it more of a competitive offer. And just a couple of quick bullet points. And, we could go on and on. We're very passionate about this topic and love talking about it. We're so excited. It's hard to hide it for sure. But what we've discovered is Compass is the second largest independent brokerage in the United States. And it's been able to raise $7.6 billion worth of capital. So behind those resources, they make our lives as agents and team leaders easier because the technology makes our lives easier by what the tools they provide. So just a couple quick highlights.
Awesome. That's good.
Sorry, my phone. So and I just want to also suggest, there's so much more to it. Oh boy, there's my phone. Hey, once again, this is real, right? So there's so much more to it than just the programs.
Yeah, that's right.
As I mentioned, we can go on and on, but we just also want to speak to the culture and the support and the world-class marketing. I mean, I feel like I need to at least share those aspects. And there's so much more. It's almost like when you look at the iceberg, this is what you see, but it's beneath the iceberg that is the largest massive benefit. So, we're here to answer any questions should anyone have any.
Awesome. Well, now I got to ask you about the media stuff. You guys are killing it. I'm trying to be like you guys when I grow up, but you guys are killing it on Instagram. All the different aspects. Every time. I mean, like Gary Vaynerchuk says, like a billboard, like if there's 4 people riding by a billboard, there's 4 people in that car, 3 of them are looking at their phones, maybe 4 of them. But so you got to be where the eyeballs are, and you guys are certainly doing that and doing a good job. What advice would you guys have for other agents that are wanting to, get out there and get where the eyeballs are? Like Instagram, Mike, I was all over your. You had a TikTok with your farm. That was great, man. That was good. But what advice? What advice would you guys give?
My advice is to listen to Mike. Okay.
My advice would be to follow other people so you can learn from them. Find someone that you can resonate with and that is killing it on social and follow them. You don't have to do what they do, but you might learn a couple things you didn't otherwise know if you're open to new information. Assuming you're even watching this podcast, you are. That's why you're following Preston. That's why you're following great information. Preston puts out some amazing content. And that's why we follow you too, because you're absolutely providing value to the marketplace. And that's so critical. So many home inspectors aren't doing that. They aren't getting any face time. It's just fly by the seat of their pants. And speaking of pants, Inspector Crazy Pants, I will say, we can't go on with this podcast without mentioning your pants. Just so you know. And I don't say that about many people.
Yeah, I'm known as Inspector Crazy Pants, and this whole COVID Zoom thing. The pants don't translate well, and there's a couple. I still sponsor a lot of real estate classes, and a couple of times they're like, "Show us what pants you're wearing today," and I'm like, wish you would have told me this before we went on. I think I have gym shorts on right now. We're good.
You just flash picture in picture and flash Crazy Pants, and you can fade it in, fade it out. Just a little bit.
There you go. Well, it's
practical.
I would like to add one thing just to piggyback on Mike's comments with respect to social. I will tell you, I was one of the holdouts. Mike started on social. He dove in did a cannonball way earlier than most realtors, right? So, and I was one of those holdouts, hey, I'm not sure if I really want to spend my energy on this, or I want to, add that layer to all the many things that we do as realtors out there in the marketplace, right? So, but then I realized I had an epiphany. That's where all of my clients already are, and my future clients are as well.
Exactly.
So I just found, and Mike helped me see the light, so to speak. At one point I thought, okay, this isn't going away. The social medium or the social channels and how many people are jumping in, as you said, Preston, they're looking here. And that's what we want is eyeballs. That's what we want is the attention of our existing clients, number one, so we could stay in front of them, but our potential clients that we hope to serve, right? So once I kind of figured that out through Mike's leadership in that respect, then I'm all in. So now, me and Mike, we just really make it a part of what we do and how we operate from a daily, weekly, and a monthly.
Dude, you guys sound like me and Chip. or Chip and I, like, I'm like dive in, and Chip's my operations manager, but Chip like wants to see the metrics. And if he can't measure it, like, why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? And I keep telling him, like, dude, I'm telling you, everybody's on TikTok. I mean, you think it's just 15-year-old girls, you know, and I have 2 teenage daughters, but my wife's on there. My buddy, couple buddies from high school, they're sending me TikToks, you know, and we're all 50. Yeah. So I'm like, there's real estate, you know, people buying and selling houses on that.
Absolutely. And it's just the evolution of how we advertise, but not just advertise, how we like convey our message, you know, just like we're doing this with you here. Right. So this will have ripple effects for, you know, hopefully, you know, bringing some awareness to the importance that realtors place in social media, you know, I mean, beyond other things. And, you know, I feel like we should talk more about your business. We're happy to talk all day about us selfishly, but
no, it's your podcast, man.
Value to the folks that are watching or listening.
Well, I appreciate that.
And you obviously, you know, we've learned a lot from you through the years, and
well, I appreciate that, but it's y'all's podcast.
All right. Okay.
So, question for you. You know, real estate's a tough business. You know, there's a couple of, you know, I sponsor a lot of those new agent orientations. I always look out there and I'm trying to guess who are going to be the future. And I know the numbers, like a lot are going to wash out, you know, and I always wish if, you know, what is that factor or that ingredient that the ones that really make it in this business have in common versus, you know, a lot of people wash out, you know, what do you, if there's a lot of new agents out there listening, what do you think that ingredient is? Is it something they can acquire? Is it a belief? Is it a mindset? Or is it what is it? What do you think the ingredients are?
I mean, I will tell you this, Preston, you know, Mike and I have talked about this often through the years and really trying to answer that question through experience. And time again, we have come to the conclusion that those that are going to be successful or have been successful all have a common trait. They have an open mind and they let new information in and they're coachable. Okay. Right. And then there's another layer, you know, about identifying a mentor, you know, we can go on, but, you know, I would say, Mike, would you agree?
Oh, hands down. I mean, actually I posted something today. The question of the day was, you know, how do you sell 30 houses in your first year? And that was a question mark that someone had asked me. And I guess I hadn't really thought about it. I've been trying to track 30 questions in 30 days and put that out on social, which, by the way, that's something you can do to your audience. And I encourage you to do it. Hashtag 30-day challenge. It's been phenomenal. On day 8. But the answer to that question is loaded in a lot of ways. But to answer, how does one agent make it and another agent flounder? And I think it's the idea of, it's not going to happen in one day. It's not going to happen in 1 week. But if I have the right guided direction and if I'm open to that information and I execute in a massive way, and I don't judge it, I don't think about it, I don't say the what if, I don't say when things are perfect. What we've discovered is that done is better than perfect. And if that means doing an open house every single weekend, as I did, that's what worked 17 years ago. Actually, ironically, I think that's coming back. You know, for many reasons that had once gone away. Right. But if that's the information that someone gives as guided direction that's work, find someone that's been there, done that, wearing the t-shirt.
Nice.
Right? So I
see what you did there.
I will say that everyone's secret ingredient is they have their own uniqueness, and there are many ways to get there, whatever success may look like for that individual, for that agent. Yeah. So for Mike, as he mentioned, it was just not questioning at all the process, taking in the information, not judging it, and just taking action and jumping in with both feet and executing, right? That really, for Mike, that has been his secret sauce, right? I mean, obviously, we all want whatever we touch to be perfect, but at a certain point, you have to execute, right? So it's, my thought is it may not feel like it's perfect to you, but if you get to 80, 90%, it's time to go ahead and take action. It's, you know, when you get that postcard as good as you can get it, you go ahead and execute. You order it, you mail it out. You know, when you have a process for connecting with your friends or contacts, your sphere of influence, instead of like really oscillating and worrying about what you're going to say. Just pick up the phone and call and check in on people and say hello. You're not going to talk about real estate. You're just going to check with people and just be there for them. Kendall says, just be in flow, right? So
Right.
Really, in large part, this is about stepping out of judgment and into curiosity. Be curious.
And just one other thing, I love that so much. It's sound advice. I almost encourage you to rewind it, listen to it again. Do it again. And then take action and then listen to it again. So the only other thing to kind of piggyback on that is you have, if you're watching this and you're a newer agent, you have such a unique opportunity that we did not have. I had 17 years ago, 27 years ago. We didn't have the opportunity to join and align with a real estate team. That's the one.
Teams were just not popular. For me, in the 90s, teams were very rare. And you know what I mean? So I would totally agree. Now, teams is really where it is. I mean, if we had more teams when I was, coming out of real estate classes, being licensed, I would have aligned with the team. I would have gotten further along quickly.
That's the thing. There's certainly the one person that is cut from the entrepreneurial fabric that understands I'm going to have 6 to 12 months of savings. I'm going to weather a storm. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do it no matter what. There are those superchargers out there that will still make it no matter what. But for most that are entering the business, starting off with an admin role or a marketing support role or a showing assistant, learning the business from the people that are doing the business. And that's what the benefit of a real estate team can provide: knowledge, expertise, mentorship with an existing book of business. And then along the ways, if they're open, they're growing, they're raising their hand, and they're hungry, those opportunities generally organically show up, depending on how hard someone's willing to work.
100%. Obviously, who you align with matters, no question. It's not about just like go and identify with any team. There's a lot to it, right? They need to make sure that there's alignment culturally. You need to make sure that there's the proper support, and what does it look like moving forward? Like the conversation should involve, okay, if I'm going to come in here, I'm going to learn under your tutelage. What does that mean for me building my own business practice and then graduating to an agent that has their own book of business, but yet remaining with the team, but less from an apprentice aspect and more of an agent that is a full book of business, generating a lot of their own income that's not derived by the team, right? So there's just a lot of nuances to consider. I would say culture is the absolute number one factor, and knowing how much change is in the industry, just aligning with a company, a brand, a team who's on the right side of that change.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, another question for you, and you answered, I had 3 questions lined up, but you answered them all in that. I'm like, oh man, he answered my next question. And I know you guys are short on time and you've been dropping gold nuggets and it's very appreciative. Couple of questions, then we'll go to lightning round. It'll be kind of fun. What about COVID? Now, you guys have been in real estate for a long time. This COVID thing came along and again, it's terrible and all that. But how do you think it's changed business or the way we do business? And how do you think in the future, do you think it's going to go back to exactly the way it was, or there's going to be some sort of hybrid, or what do you think effect COVID has had on our industry, and how do we adapt, or how do we adjust?
Take it, or me too?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think COVID obviously was and is a challenge for so many people out there. And so I would acknowledge that. I think it's important to keep that in the back of our minds. But business changed for us when COVID, looking back in 2020, there's a lot of fear and angst and unknowns. And what we did during that time that is relevant then as it will be 100 years from now is deeper connections with people. And it didn't come from the vantage point of, are you considering buying or selling? It was, how is your family doing right now with everything going on in the world? That was the messaging, and still is, because it shows that you care. And if you come from that vantage point in business and in life in general, you can't help but win. And it's not about winning or losing per se. It's about connections with people and providing value to their lives. And that was the number one shift. We did it before. We've always done it. but it was at a much deeper level. I definitely think we really doubled down on those relationships and conversations. And quite frankly, I don't know about you, but we had so many Zoom buyer consultations, seller consultations, FaceTime, so much more technology that we just didn't frankly use. And the QR code, I mean, who used the QR code? Nobody.
Yeah, now after all the menus now. You go back to them.
It's all the stuff that you never really thought about. And now, well, we use it all the time.
I know, man. When those QR codes came out, I thought it was the coolest thing. I mean, this was like 7 or 8 years ago. I had on my cards. Nobody used them. Nobody knew what they were. And it was like, I'd taken them off. I was like, great idea, but it doesn't work. And then all of a sudden now all the menus are. So now
everybody can use the QR code. Everybody knows how to use the QR code. Just like with everything else, Preston, you were a trendsetter. You saw it on the front end. It just took everybody about 5 years to catch up. So I'll just add to Mike, for sure, our position during the beginning of COVID, and really it always has been, but our focus during that time was to really just check in with our clients, our friends, our neighbors, just to see how we could help or add value, whatever that looked like. And it was not a conversation around real estate. It was really just to say, hey, listen, I just want to check on you because we care. It's like, it's like that old saying, if you help enough people, get what you want, you'll never have a want, and if you really come from that place of contribution and caring, then everything else will fall into place. You don't worry about transactions.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
And on that note, just a follow-up quote that you had about how as business do we see that going back the way it was, or what does the future look like? Obviously, we can't predict the future. I think a lot of folks are working in office settings. There is something magical about human nature that we can only have in person and a connection. And even as we're staring at this computer screen, and we consider you all friends that are watching and grateful that you're here, if we were looking at you one-on-one and into your eyeball and into your piercing through conversation, there is something only magical that happens in person, innately as human beings. So I don't see that ever going away. I see a technology being a hybrid for those that, maybe personally need that or have those situations that are there. I think the office settings are changing, but we all redefine the definition of home and continue to evolve that. We also redefine the definition of school, office, commute. So all those things change and continue to morph and evolve. And so I think with an open mind and a caring heart, a willing heart, no matter what that looks like for someone in their unique set of circumstances, we try to interpret that and then help as best as we can.
Awesome. Great. You guys are giving great stuff. Just one or two more questions, and we'll do some fun stuff, and then I'll let you guys go because I know you guys selling a bunch of houses out there. I want to give all the listeners who are probably real estate agents some tools, something they can go out and use today. Let's say you're a new agent, pretty new agent, going on your first listing presentation, and they're doing. You're one of three. What advice would you give that agent in their first listing presentation to really, knock it out of the park? You're going up against two other agents. What advice would you give them to try to win that listing?
If you don't mind, I'll start. So I would tell you there are a number of things. I would just say, do your homework. And I'd say, number one, just put in the effort, and I would align with someone who betters your chances to win the listing. So it could be an agent in the office. It should be an agent in the office. It could be your broker in charge. I would just say you want to stack the odds in your favor. And if you're a new agent, I don't think there's really anything, that you could do better than to align with somebody who already has a track record. Okay. I also think, leaning on your brand, your greater team generally, maybe sharing the numbers of what your team has been able to do in the general area of where the subject property exists. And then I think just be really upfront with the folks and say, listen, I'm fairly new to the business, but if there's anything I've ever been good at, it's really working hard, and it's really pouring myself in to what I do professionally, and just have a plan and just have the plan in writing. Showing is always better than telling. Okay. So there's a lot there, but that's my take.
I was going to hit those bullet points almost verbatim. So it's like, man, I was looking for one point that you didn't bring up that I could. I was like,
you stole my thunder, man. You stole my thunder again.
No, actually, everything that was, just to reiterate, being prepared before the appointment, so critical. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And, ask someone. You'd find people in your office and your team are more than happy, but you have to know that you need help. And so that requires you to be assertive and ask for it. And three, gosh, there's so much great information electronically these days about market trends, and don't get caught up in macroeconomics. Really, when you're looking for a home, it's about what you can provide value to that seller and how are you going to make their lives easier. And sellers generally speak from the language of, I want the most amount of home money for my home that I possibly can with the least amount of hassle in the shortest amount of time. So if you can get that into and digest and synthesize that language, you're speaking the language of seller. And you have to put yourself in the frame of mind of what you can provide to the table that's different than what the other agents that are out there that are offering.
Hello, I'm Bill Gallagher with Superior School of Real Estate, and I'm here with Preston Sandlin of Home Inspection Carolina. Preston, I've always liked your style, especially those pants. And also, I've been interested in the home inspection business for a long time.
Well, Bill, that's ironic. I've always admired your style, and I've always admired your ability to educate these fine folks for sometimes 4-8 hours a day. I wish that I could do what you do.
Hey, Preston, wouldn't it be cool if we switched? Preston, we sure got what we wished for, buddy.
We sure did. And now that you're the expert, Bill, you are wearing the pants, and I'm the instructor and the educator. Tell us what Home Inspection Carolina is doing these days to make the home buying process easier for realtors and home buyers.
Well, Preston, all our home inspection reports now are online for the real estate agent and the client to review the report online and to be able to create a repair list basically online by either clicking repair, accept, monetary compensation, and once they prepare the request, they can then press email, text, or print right then.
You mean it's all automated, Bill?
Absolutely, we are high tech.
Wow. What else is Home Inspection Carolina doing different these days?
Well, Preston, we're training our home inspectors to be non-alarmist. We are training them to put things into perspective and to simplify the message for the homeowner.
Non-alarmist is key, Bill. You remember those days of the 100-page reports and those 3-ring binders that would just go on and on and on, la 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 la. Thank you for being a good non-alarmist.
And Preston, one more thing. We fix the small stuff for free. Do you remember when home inspectors always put those little nitpicky items on those reports?
Oh, bless their hearts.
Well, at Home Inspection Carolina, if we can fix it in 5 minutes or less, we do it for free. We're better with a caulk gun than a keyboard any day. We just fix it.
You mean there's no cost for this, Bill?
Preston, it's free.
Wow.
Well, Preston, these pants really are a catch.
Well, Bill, I've enjoyed wearing the suit, but I don't think I could wear it every day because I got to fix the small stuff for free, and I don't want to ruin a good suit.
Preston, it's been a lot of fun flipping the switch.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question following up on that. I'm a home inspector, so I actually have my realtor's license, but it's just so I have the key. If you were in that situation, is it a faux pas, or could you ask? I think what I would love to do is get that mentor or somebody. Could I ask to go with them when they are, to observe what they're doing, or and then vice versa? Maybe on my first one or two in this compass, do something like this where, hey, can I get you to come with me, and just help me a little bit on the first one or two of them? Do y'all do anything like that or advise?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And really, to get back to culture, it's very easy for us for agents within our group and the greater Compass family to get help and to get assistance and to align with someone to say, listen, do you mind me just shadowing you on a listing appointment or working with a buyer or a buyer presentation? Oh, absolutely. I mean, in fact, I will tell you, if you're a new agent out there and if you gravitate to being of service to other professional agents who are doing what you want to be doing the business that you want to be doing, well, there's no one that they would rather help than someone that is adding value to them professionally, right?
Wow.
So if you're there and you're willing and you want to shadow and you want to learn, and the reality is the top producers out there will pay attention. And when there's an opportunity that they have and that they don't want or they don't have time to handle, who are they going to think of? They're going to think of that new agent who is shown that they're open and they're willing to help. They want to jump in and they want to be a team player.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and then there's some like giants in my industry too. And it's like, you know, people ask, what do you do? And, you know, I'm like, well, go to somebody, but here's what you don't do. Don't go up there and then ask them just something. And it's like you're a taker. And then not only that, you don't implement and then you go back to it. They don't want to hear whining, you know, because they're a top producer. And it's like, here's what you do. You go and offer your services to help them and learn, and they'll like that. But you got to realize, you know, these top people come to them all the time. So, you know, I don't know this. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack, but it's like offer value or show that, or part of your value is, like you said, that you're coachable, that you're going to listen. You're not just, woe is me, give me some advice. I won't do it. And then I'm going to come back to you again.
That's true. And there's a book that we've read probably 8 years ago. We're rereading it called The Go-Giver.
Yeah. I like that.
It's a fantastic book. It's all about adding value, pouring into others. As human beings, you'd be really surprised at what happens when you really try to reach out and serve other people and without any expectation of return.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm at a conference and if there's somebody bigger, you know, it's big, you know, I'm like, can I buy your dinner? I mean, I flat ask them, you know, and that conversation at dinner is going to be worth way more than, but you know, I'm not coming at you, just to take. I'm trying to give a little bit too. All right. You guys ready for the lightning round?
We love the lightning round.
Let's do it.
All right. Now remember, this is a G-rated show. I told iTunes.
Is this like speed dating?
What's the craziest or weirdest or just zaniest real estate story? And you can change the name to protect the guilty. You know how Bill has his Vondeley stories. What's
I don't have a Vondeley story, but I've got one. I've got a few, but I'm going to give you one that came to mind first, right?
All right.
So I was a new agent. I'll just talk about being a new agent. I was maybe 2 months in as a new agent. I was showing a property in Chantilly, fantastic neighborhood.
Right.
And me and my first time home buyer, we get to the house and first off, they said there was a lockbox, but there's no lockbox. We could not find a lockbox anywhere. So we're scrambling.
Been there.
Yeah. And a gentleman comes to the door and he said, can I help you? And this, obviously he didn't get the communication from the listing firm that we were there to show. We had an appointment.
Been there too.
Yeah. And I just explained who I was and, you know, I'm here to show the house and see that sign on the front yard. You know, the owner of the home, it was a tenant. The owner of the home had the property on the market. He said, oh yeah, I'm aware. I said, I'm happy to, you know, just call the agent, figure out where the lockbox is. He said, no worries. Come on in. And so he was sort of, he had he had maybe 4 dogs in there. It was only a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. And I'm a dog lover. And my client was too. And it was the lighting was very dim in the home. And so he let us in. He sort of corralled the dogs so we could look around. And it was a great home. You know, it wasn't in the best shape, but it had tons of potential. It was on a fantastic street. My client was interested. So then, you know, it was a quick visit. We didn't want to intrude, right? He was hanging out in the living room during the showing. And then so we sort of let ourselves out and thanked him for the showing. We stood out on the front porch and I had on very light khaki pants on, and as did she. We looked down. And I'm like, she and I both must have had something maybe like 2,000 fleas.
Oh!
And I was wearing loafers and the fleas got down in my shoes and were biting my toes and my feet. Same thing for her. And we were just picture like us in the front, like throwing our shoes off and like batting our shins, like trying to get these biting fleas off of our legs.
Not only that, you don't want to bring that into your house. If you wind up bringing that into your house,
and actually got, we eventually got in my car, and I felt like we got most of them off, but I wasn't sure, so I took it for a full detail and I defogged my car, if you will. So that's the one that came to mind. She did not eventually want to make an offer on that home. I feel like it might have been the fleas, but not exactly sure. But fun story, and she's still a client today. She wound up buying something else, and
I had something similar. I had to inspect some apartments over in Gastonia, and I mean, I'm not being judgy or whatever, but it wasn't Park Place or Boardwalk. I'll just say that. So, and there were tenants in there, and I was coming in, it was like an investment deal, and I was inspecting, and there was a tenant home, and he said, and I just kind of like, hey, I'm just inspecting, he's like, yeah, we got fleas. He literally pulled up his shirt and like showed me all the flea bombs. And I'm like, it did the same thing, man. I got them on me, and I was in my little truck. I could feel them biting, and I was like, I can't take these things home and get them in my house. So I'm literally, and it's in July, I turned the heat up because I know heat will kill. I'm driving down the road. It's like 98 degrees outside and 110 in my truck.
You're dying before I die. Right?
And you know what I did too? I stripped. I got to my birthday suit and jumped in the swimming pool before I came home, because I was like, I am not going. I don't want to introduce those fleas into my house. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, hopefully you didn't stop by the Y first, right? You're like, I got to go in here now and jump in.
Because if you get fleas, they're hard to get rid of. They're hard to get rid of.
Yeah, biting fleas. I mean, that sounds itchy.
I love that's.
Are you itching right now? I feel like this. You're like, I'm getting like, I have lots of stories, but working in the emergency room, I have, tons of stories of the take. They would not be the G-rated kind, so we'd need more time for those. As a real estate, the one that came to mind for me was we were showing a house. That's where all good stories, start. And walked in, and we're walking around. It's kind of dim; we couldn't really hear. And then all of a sudden, we smell this like god awful smell. I mean, it was like septic had imploded. I mean, it was rough. And then we hear this big flush, and we're like, we had checked. We had the confirmed appointment. We knock on the door, always say, is anybody home? Nothing, no cars, no signs of any activity. And this guy just comes walking out, and he's like, yeah, you can take your time in the house. That's no problem. And he was doing his business, number two. And, and like, I'm like, wow. All right. I mean, we're trying to show your home and just not a care in the world. And no Febreze. Can you believe that? No Febreze.
Matches any day?
No Febreze, but no motivation to move either. So.
There. You know how they say there's a silver lining in everything? Well, I had COVID in January, which is bad, but I lost my smell, and I still haven't completely got it back. Oh, wow. And it's, I own a French Bulldog, so that's a good thing, because I don't know if you know much about that breed, but all day long. So I was like, I have not smelled in a long time. So, but I am worried that, the house might be on fire or something. I wouldn't be able to tell. Awesome. Well, listen, I got a couple more questions, and I'll let you guys go. This one is finish these song lyrics or name the song. All right. You guys ready? All right, here we go. Can you hear it? She was making for the trades on the outside, and the downhill run to Papa. All right, if you can either finish the lyrics, the song, or the singers, I'll give you that hint. And there's a reason I chose that song. Can you get any of them?
Wow.
I have been around.
Say that again. No. That what you just said. What you just said. I want that little hint.
Well, here I'll play it. I should have let it play a little bit more. Got 80 feet of a water line, nicely making way in a noisy bar in Avalon. Give me a couple more. But on a midnight watch, I realized why twice you ran away.
it a million times, and I like the song, but it's not one of those that
didn't come to mind.
Yeah, I feel like
it's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's Southern Cross by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And the reason I chose it is they were talking about the Southern Compass. I was trying to get with the compass theme. And then you guys got the anchor back there, and I was like, that'll be perfect. But I'll tell you, that's a tough song. It's a Southern Cross, which is the constellation that the sailors used way back in the day. You know,
understood. Wow.
Way back.
I love that. I love how the symbolism there. So,
but A for effort. All right, this last game is called This or That. I'm going to give you two things. This is going to be interesting because there's two of you. Now you got to pick one of the two. Ginger or Marianne?
Ginger and Marianne.
What do you say, Mike?
I didn't catch the context. Ginger or
Gilligan's Island.
Oh, Marianne. Yeah.
Everybody says Marianne. I had one Ginger before. Football or basketball?
Football.
Elf or Vacation?
Elf
or Christmas
I'm
Vacation?
gonna go Vacation.
Vacation. All right.
Yeah.
Animal House or Caddyshack?
Caddyshack.
Animal House.
Let's see. I answered that. Would you rather watch Netflix or YouTube?
It depends on the movie.
I would say Netflix.
Probably Netflix. Yeah.
Cardio or weights?
Cardio.
Weights.
We got a little story on that. Like whenever we go to a real estate conference, Mike will go like seek out the CrossFit of like the best CrossFit spot, and we'll go. And it's like every time we go, he's not. I mean, he'll do cardio, but he would much prefer to lift weights. But it's like every time we go, they do it on a running day. So I'm like, I'm good for that. and he would much rather lift weights. So he's like really is trying to figure out how does that work, you know?
Yeah, well,
we usually have a running day, like literally like 4 days a month, and all the other days are weightlifting, right?
Good stuff. Well, and for all the listeners out there, you may not know this, but Mike is like a black belt in what is it, jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu? One of those.
Yeah, no, Japanese jiu-jitsu and Gracie jiu-jitsu, and been training a long time, but we have a good time these days. 4 kids and a puppy. I haven't trained as much as I would have liked in the years past, but I'm getting that back little by little. So, but we have a good time. And
he's a bad. No, he won't say that, but he is. He's if anything ever broke out in the bar room, I want to be on that guy's side. I'll just say that. All right, a little more this or that, and I'll let you guys go. Are Apple or Android?
Apple. All about
man.
I used to be Droid for years. I was Apple 1.
He finally converted.
And I converted to Apple 12 Pro, but I was Droid up until like 3 months ago.
My whole family's Apple, but I'm Android because Apple, they play well. Well, they seem flawlessly, but they don't play well with others is my thing. But
just like I was a holdout on social media, Mike was a holdout. I eventually saw the light, as did he.
Big party or small gathering?
Big party or small gathering?
It depends on the context. I mean, it depends. I mean, I love a big gathering, but I also love like just a small group.
Can I have a big gathering with small groups?
There you go. Well, I've learned the art of it. All right. So for all the people out there, there's better people at networking than me, but I used to be guilty of going to something and just going to the people I knew and stay with them the whole time, where you really got to, all right, talk to them a minute, but yeah, you need to cross-pollinate because that's why you're there. I mean, and that's how you're going to get the most.
I mean, we expand our minds by the people we meet, the places we go, and the books we read, right?
Absolutely. Flip-flops or tennis shoes?
Tennis shoes.
Probably tennis shoes. Not really.
Car or truck?
Both.
I have both, but I probably favor a car.
Weekend truck, car during the week, maybe.
Yeah.
Theme park or day at the beach? Day at a theme park or day at the beach?
Our vacation this past year was Disney first, or no, beach first, then Disney. For the advice I have is do that in reverse order.
I can see that.
Beach. I'm going to stick with the beach. Yes.
Gotcha. Coffee, cold or iced coffee or hot coffee?
Hot
for me.
Would you rather read a book like old school book or ebook?
Old school.
I like to flip.
Yeah, me too. And I can dog ear it and put my thing in there. Me too. My wife's all about the ebooks, but I'm like, it just ain't the same. Just isn't the same. Sleeping, fan on or fan off?
Off.
We, for the kids on, for us off.
I got you. And the last this or that question, toilet paper, over or under? Beard or mullet on the toilet paper?
I've been trained well. My wife says it's got to be over.
It's got to be over.
Yeah, got to be a beard.
But it is over.
I know some home inspectors out there that are like OCD or whatever. They'll switch. I'm like, man, don't be switching other people's.
Don't be touching that.
It bothered. He's like, no, I fixed it. Fix it. There you go. Yeah, I know. We try to fix the small stuff, loose outlets and stuff. But it's like, well, I fixed the toilet paper, and I'm like, no, that might be their preference.
On the list.
Yeah, leave that alone. All right, very last question, and I'll let you guys go. I know you guys are super busy. You guys woke up tomorrow morning, so think about this. If you woke up in a brand new town, all right, and you still have all your real estate knowledge, all your tools, room and board taken care of, but you don't know anybody, but you still have all your knowledge. And let's say you have $5,000. What are you doing with that $5,000 to get your business going? But you have all the equipment. It's not like computers or something like that. It's more like a marketing ROI. What are you going to get the most bang for your buck with $5,000 if you had to start all over?
You want me to take that first? I think, okay, once again, I'd come back to I would align with a proven team and organization within the company who already has they're set up to take on a new agent, or let's just say, or just an agent coming in to establish roots in a new town. And then I would, as far as how I would spend that money, frankly, I would ask or I'd do some research to identify who are what are the best restaurants and coffee shops, and I would start hanging out there. I would ask people, servers, bartenders, the storefront owners, the baker. If I could profile their business on social and do video for those, that I would do reviews on those restaurants, and then I would do it all at no charge, obviously, just because I like the establishment and the restaurant, and then I would build really good friendships with these other business owners and build my sphere from that as the basis. And the reality is everybody knows. I think on average, it's somewhere between 250 and 400 people that they are close to on a regular basis. So then they would become my sphere eventually.
Yeah, that's great advice. If I woke up in a new town, didn't know anything but had all the knowledge, and I only had 5,000, I think the first thing I would do is I would align with someone that had been there, done that in that town. And I would try to find the connectors and the players of that town and align with them and say, let me spend my money on taking them out to lunch. And let me do it with coffee because I only have 5,000. So I have to think about my budget. Coffees are cheaper than lunches. And I would take them out to coffee and I'd say, I'd like to pick your brain about how you've done so successful in XYZ field or XYZ. And you may get a few no's, but the ones that say yes are going to be slam dunks. So you identify who your lists are, start with the social media influencers of the town, start with the connectors of the town, and anybody that you can invite out for coffee. And $5,000 for coffees, you get quite a bit of coffees. You're going to have more time than you would money per se. So you could invest more time in the free resources and then minimize your expenses to coffees, or even if you take that same social media strategy and decide to target people in that town for a very specific reason, you could boost several create an ad campaign around that. But in the beginning, if I only had 5K, I would stick to interpersonal connections and, how can I provide value to them? And I would consider myself a lifelong or at least a year-long investment of volunteering. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be volunteering so I can hopefully get mind share of them as it relates to real estate.
That's fantastic. Awesome. That is pure gold, guys. I hope that those of you that are watching took notes. That is fantastic. And I would even tell you, if you do what Mike just said, you can just put the $5,000 in the bank and you'll probably only use half of it. Okay. The reality is you can connect with a lot of people without spending a lot of money if you're willing to put in the time and the effort.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. You've given so much value. And I want to apologize to you guys. I went a little bit over the time, but it was fun. I hope I didn't mess you guys
We
up.
enjoyed it.
I hope I didn't mess you guys up. But
anytime we have an opportunity to discuss what we love doing and we've done for so long, it just comes easy to us. This is all conversational. This is what we do every day, and it's what we love. So thank you for the opportunity. Preston.
Well, for all the listeners out there, if you got value, and you did, you did, go give these guys some love. Go follow them on Facebook, Instagram. And so my parting question for you are just where do they follow you, and how could they, if they wanted to know more about you or Compass, how would they do that?
It's a great question. You can go to our team website, pridemoreproperties.com, learn all things Compass and about our team. On social at Pridemore Properties, at
Scott.Pridemore on Instagram.
Make sure you get the dot,
Yeah.
and Mike Higgy Real Estate Jedi. I love Star Wars.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. And I know these guys, if you guys have any follow-up questions, I'm sure you can get in touch with them and they won't hesitate to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Preston.
You've been listening to the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast with your host, Preston Sandlin. Join us on the next episode where we'll be talking to a successful agent or vendor about the right things to do and the wrong things you should avoid. Join us on the next episode of the Successful Real Estate Broker Podcast.